What's the next move for Microsoft, GDX, Exxon Mobil, and Bitcoin? If that's what you're looking for, then keep on watching.
Come to Remora TC to trade like a shark and not get eaten by one. Let's school together to protect and grow our money.
For Microsoft on 25 January, I said that the price action would remain above this trend line. That would come up, perhaps get sold down, use this trend line as support, and continue upward into this zone of resistance before being rejected. Let's see how I did. Here we are on 29 January. The price action continued upward as I predicted. I think tomorrow with earnings, price may even go further upward. My thinking is this is support and this is resistance. So whether they gap it up on really high earnings and use this as resistance, right? They'll come all the way up here, use that as resistance and sell it down. But if it comes back down, this will be support. So at the moment, Microsoft remains on an upward trend. I don't see a bearish signal. That's really what it is. Switching to gold miners on 25 January. Let me zoom in here. I said that this gap here, right, would play a key role. Perhaps price will wick out of this top part of the gap and then sell downward. Let's see how my prediction came about. Here we are on 29 January. Price remains within this gap zone. But you can see today this indecision candle. An indecision candle where price pretty much is stopping at the top of this gap. My thesis remains the same. The price really isn't going to continue up much further. And if it did, or if it does, this is a zone of resistance here, this trend line. My thesis remains the same, that lower prices are coming for GDX. And my buy zone, I think this area here, or here, would be a fantastic entry. That's the gold miners. Switching to ExxonMobil on 25 January, my thesis was ExxonMobil would continue this upward move through this gap and then likely get sold into down to support here, only to bounce upward up to this 104. Okay, so let's see how I did. Here we are, ExxonMobil, 29 January. You can see that they brought it up above this gap fill. So it's hanging out up here with an indecision candle. My thesis remains the same. I think they're going to sell it down to support here. It will then bounce. And then we'll have to see. I think this was going to be resistance here at the 104. Switching to Bitcoin, this is my first graphing of it and sharing on this channel. Bitcoin, you can see, is in this really long uptrend here. The highs in this zone is 48,000 or so. But you can see this on this lower trend line here, that when price failed, right, it failed here, it came back and it retested today. Okay, to me, that is a retest from underneath this trend line support. And you can see in the RSI here, this is bearish divergence with this upward trend up here. I feel the coming weeks, price is going to come down and perhaps hit this 200-day moving average, right, somewhere in the future here, or even come down to this lower trend line here. So that's my prediction for Bitcoin. As always, my content is educational purposes only. It's not investment advice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new uploads.